Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. We're just going to give everyone a chance to filter through from the waiting room, and we'll get started very shortly. But thanks so much for being here. Okay, that looks pretty good. Looks like everyone that was waiting has filtered on through. So we'll make a start. Welcome to this month's episode of Heidi Rounds. Thanks so much for being here. By way of introduction, my name's Ben. I'm one of the doctors working on the Heidi team. I'm an emergency registrar by background here in Melbourne, and I'm joined by my co-host Theo, who's our head of product. And it's great to have Theo here. And thanks for joining us, Theo. Um, the agenda for today, we've got some really amazing features that we're really excited to share with you, and it will follow a similar pattern for those of you who have joined us previously. We'll walk through our highlights. They're the big main features that we're releasing, and then jump into some hidden gems, and talk about some upcoming events. Um, I think the theme for this episode really is that around a simple philosophy that technology should be able to adapt to you and not the other way around. We know that every clinician develops a rhythm in their notes, a shorthand, a way of writing that colleagues can recognize instantly. And too often we're aware that technology can kind of strip that individuality away, leaving you with a generic kind of sterile feeling note. That's not good for patients, it's not good for clinicians, and it also means that these notes can feel kind of quite foreign to the ones that you're used to writing. And last month we kind of spent a lot of time talking about beyond scribe, and stepping into the wider patient journey, but we really want to return to that core scribing function, and talk about how we're going deeper into that personalization and adaptability, and how Heidi's going to continue to learn to mold its voice to your voice, and to your teams, as we try and make that documentation process feel a bit more natural again. We're going to dive into this first personalization feature that we're really excited about. We'll play a little bit of a video just to get the discussion started, and then Theo and I will walk you through a demo. So without any further ado, let's jump into it.
Introducing Heidi Personalisation. Heidi now learns your personal writing style automatically, more than just transcription. Heidi learns from what you say and how you write, and uses your edits while excluding patient data to personalise your preferred terms, phrases, and formats. It adapts to your medical language to gradually improve your notes over time. Apply personalisation and make your notes uniquely yours. With no setup required, you control how Heidi learns from your edits, and you choose what works for you. From your choices, Heidi helps you create perfect notes written just like your own. Introduce.
Awesome. So, without any more preamble, I might hand over to you, Theo, to kind of talk us through step by step. But really, personalization, just to kind of shout out from the front, is going to be an automatic feature that you're not going to have to do or turn anything on or configure. Heidi's going to start learning from the edits you're making to your notes, to your documents that you've made within the Heidi platform, and it's going to start to automate that. So hopefully save you heaps of time editing, and become more and more like yours, the more frequently you use Heidi. So Theo, I'll hand over you to kind of go through a step-by-step demo now.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. So first I'm going to show you how the personalization feature learns its rules. So I'm going to change shortness of breath to SOB. And I'm going to change past medical history to PMHX. And then I'm going to make one final change. So I'm going to change echocardiogram to echo. And Heidi captures these edits automatically in the background without any setup required. These rules are then stored in your personalization log as you continue to make these edits. So let's give a chance to catch up. Yeah, and as you can see, Heidi's learned from those edits that you just made to use standard medical abbreviations for conciseness. And after 5 to 10 sessions, Heidi begins applying these preferences automatically. And like Ben mentioned, the more you use it, the better it gets at matching your natural documentation style. No training sessions, configuration, or manual input needed. All you have to do is turn that toggle on in the bottom right-hand corner of the personalization modal. So in the personalization panel, you can view all your captured preferences, and you can also see the evidence behind each preference. So you can see that this rule here, use standard medical abbreviations, was learned because we shortened shortness of breath to SOB, and we shortened the other two phrases as well. And you have full control over your preferences. So you can remove any that you no longer want to use or have to be applied. And then you can also revisit your archive and restore the previously removed. So now I'm going to show you a comparison of a note with a personalized edit versus one without. So if I regenerate the note, but with these personalizations applied, you can see that it continues to learn to use the abbreviations. So we've got the SOB, the PMHX, and the echo rather than the longer phrases. And now if I generate that same note, but without the personalizations turned on, you can see that Heidi still uses those longer phrases. And this is a very simple example for presentation purposes, but as you can imagine, Heidi then becomes better and better the more that you use the app and the more edits that you provide.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Theo. I've got a couple of questions for you, but I did forget to mention to everyone, please just pop your questions in the chat. We'll try and get through as many live. And if we don't get to your questions live, the team will email them to you as well. So please just pop them in and I'll keep track of them as we talk. How do we access personalizations, Theo? We know that it's out now, but is it... yeah, talk me through about how we turn it on and people can start using it.
Yeah, so we've rolled it out 100% to Heidi Labs. So if you go into your settings and turn on Heidi Labs, then you should see it after perhaps a few minutes of loading. And then we'll be rolling it out to everyone and the wider audience towards the end of this week into next week.
Fantastic, fantastic. And just in terms of your pre-existing find and replace, or you might have your abbreviations set up in your word library, will you be able to still do both, or will it all now be automatic through personalizations?
Yeah, you can continue to do both. The find and replace tend to work better for specific words if you want that absolute surety. But it's most likely that if you had those turned off and you were using personalization to correct the spelling or change this word for this word, it's going to learn those rules over time. However, find and replace is still a good feature if you've got, let's say, 100 words that you want to be spelt slightly differently. So yeah, in short, they work together. They're not conflicting, and you can have both.
Amazing. Got a question from Sam in the chat if this is going to help correct common medication errors and things like that. Is personalization going to help with those sometimes frustrating medication names that can get jumbled up in the transcript?
Yeah, so the spelling 100%. As long as you make the edits to tell Heidi that this is actually the right way to spell it, it's then going to learn that, and then in future sessions it will apply the medications in the correct spelling.
Fantastic. And I think that's just an important point to probably highlight to everyone. Again, we know some of you are kind of copying and pasting into your electronic record or patient management system. The key point really is that the edits need to be made in Heidi before you make that copy and paste. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Awesome. All right. I've got a few more questions filtering in on personalization, but I might just give everyone a second to send them through. We'll jump into the next feature on templates, and we'll come back to those questions at the end. So please keep them coming in.
Introducing improved templates with 3 smarter ways to build and get started. Create templates easily through chat or dictation anytime. Upload documents and files of your own seamlessly, or use the existing Heidi templates you love to help build new ones. Describe what you need, and Heidi will create your template instantly. Make precise edits using natural language and get complete previews every time to build your perfect template. Welcome to Heidi Templates. Introducing improved templates.
Good. Oh, awesome. So, templates, I guess the other side of the coin to personalization. We know that personalization is about protecting your individual style, and templates are used to kind of create that shared structure for your team, but also gives you that adaptability to kind of use Heidi in all sorts of clinical settings within your day-to-day work. And we know that every specialty has a whole suite of different documents that they use every day, from referral letters, intake forms, procedural notes, etc. And templates really is the feature that unlocks that versatility within Heidi. We know that our original template builder was very technical, a bit clunky, and we heard from a lot of you that perhaps even a little bit intimidating to kind of learn. And we've taken that on board to really try and revamp the whole template experience so that you can unlock that versatility within Heidi, and give your team that structured way to make notes with a lot more ease and simplicity. Theo, I'm not going to steal your thunder completely, but I just want to kind of start by explaining how we've done this, because there's a few different elements to that. So we've changed the way you create a template from the start, and you've got 3 different options of how you create a template. You can upload up to 5 examples of existing notes that you've written, and Heidi will take those examples and collate them into a template for you. You can use an existing template from a community or one that you've written already, and use that as a starting point. Or you can use a chat-based template creator, which you can just simply chat to Heidi and ask it or explain to it what you'd like, and it will iterate with you in that kind of chatbot model. Editing and refining your templates should be a whole lot easier as well too. So you can edit via that same chatbot that we'll show you shortly. There'll be plain text editing, so those square brackets and round brackets and all of that very technical kind of markdown that might have been a little bit confusing or a little bit a bridge too far for some of our users is gone, and you can just use your plain text. And there's also version control. So, importantly, if you make a mistake or want to go back to a previous version, we've now unlocked that feature for you. There's a few other things that we'll cover off, but Theo, I'll hand over to you just to go through a more in-depth detail, and I'll keep taking questions while you're walking through that.
Great, thanks, Ben. So yeah, we've streamlined the template creation process, and there's now 3 ways you can get started. So the first is that you can use an existing template to create a new one from. The second option is to use multiple examples of notes that you've written in the past. So I'm going to upload 3 here, but you can do a maximum of 5. And as you can see, Heidi then learns the structure of your notes and creates a template out of it. The third is to just use chat. So simply tell Heidi what you need in the chat field. And now that you've got your baseline template from one of these 3 options, there's a different structure. You can view an example of what your template creates, so you can make sure it matches what you'd want in a real life setting. You can edit via chat. So we're going to tell the editor to add a musculoskeletal section, include a lot of information, and include the section headers even when the information is not present. So you can see it's now added the new section. And if we go into the example, we can see that the headers exist even without the relevant information. And you can also see much more information in the section. You can also access the underlying syntax by clicking into these sections, and you can add global instructions to the top there. And finally, if you prefer a previous version, you can click back and you can restore the changes. We've also worked on an entire range of specialist-informed evidence-based templates, which will become available in your template library over the next few weeks. This provides all the specialties we have with high-quality templates that go beyond the generic note types. And these are a great way to get started on your template creation journey, and then you can use the editor that I just showed you. Finally, we've added a way for you to create multiple documents at once. So you can see I'm now pinning templates. And if I go into a new session and I upload an audio file, Heidi is going to then generate the note as normal. And then when it's done with that, it's going to automatically generate both the pinned documents as well. So you can see there's the NHS GP consult as well as the initial clinical interview. And we're hoping this will save you lots of time in generating your extra documents, rather than you having to go in at the end of each session and create them each manually one by one. Thanks.
Thanks, Theo. That was, a really hotly requested feature, even just in that last section, just to have multiple documents generating at once. We know many of you create multiple documents in each clinic setting, maybe a letter to the GP as well as a note and a letter to the patient. So we hope that'll save you a heap of time. That was a really hotly requested feature. I think though, the other thing I just wanted to kind of dig into a little bit more, Theo, was that suite of specialist templates that you touched on. So we've got an incredible network of specialists that have been building templates with us to make it, for instance, a gastroscopy note that will work kind of first time. And really the hope is that these notes will kind of show you all of the different use cases within your specialty for templates, and we hope inspire you to jump in to use this template builder that's a little bit more intuitive and hopefully a lot more approachable within your practice. Given this is a big change, we are flagging it before it rolls out. So can you tell everyone kind of when they can expect to see this template builder go live in their Heidis, and kind of how long the rollout process will take?
Yeah. So there'll be a transition phase because obviously we're aware that people have become accustomed to the old template editing style. And just for absolute clarity, any existing templates on the Heidi platform, you'll still have the option to use the old syntax. So don't worry if you've become used to that and you've got templates set up in that way. And then any new templates that you create, you're going to have both the option to use the old syntax, but also to switch to the new template editor. And then we're hoping over time that people find this more intuitive, and then eventually we can just switch over to the new editor. But we'll be very responsive to feedback, and we won't just switch the old syntax off without making sure that everyone's happy.
Amazing. Got a question in the chat about what will happen to old templates. So those users who have kind of spent that time and gotten very familiar with placeholders and those square brackets and instructions in rounded brackets, what will happen to your existing templates that people have become a little bit attached to?
Yeah, so for these existing ones, they're still going to be able to access the old syntax. But if they do want to edit it using the new chat-based editor, they can also do that. They can switch between the two. And by the way, we're not touching any of the underlying template structure. We're just offering a new interface on top of them to be able to edit them. And we're hoping that part is much easier. But the actual templates themselves won't change.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And I've got a question from Lisa just about whether this is going to be a pro feature or a free a feature. This is going to be available to all Heidi users, regardless of their tier. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. I can still see a few more questions filtering through in the chat. So what I might do is we'll come back to questions at the end, but please, if you have any questions about anything throughout tonight's presentation, just drop them in the chat and we'll do our best to answer them live for you. The next feature we want to talk about really is just an update to our coding set. For those of you who have been tuning in regularly, you'll have noticed that coding is something that is continually updating. We're really excited that we're adding ICD-10 UK coding set for our UK hospitals. And for those of you on night shift in Australia at the moment tuning in, the ICD-10 AM coding set will also be available for Australian hospitals. We've got a very brief video to kind of talk through these changes as well. Just want to highlight, because these are predominantly hospital sets, they'll be only rolled out to our enterprise users using in hospital. We wanted to make sure that we introduced them just so that you knew that they were coming and there weren't any surprises. So I'll just play this short video for you.
Hi everyone, I'm Shreyan Kadadi, Product Manager for Revenue Cycle here at Heidi. And I'm really excited to show you how we're massively expanding Heidi's medical.
Oh, Ben, we've lost the sound. You might need to unmute.
Thanks, Theo. We'll go back to the start.
Hi everyone, I'm Shreyan Kadadi, Product Manager for Revenue Cycle here at Heidi. And I'm really excited to show you how we're massively expanding Heidi's medical coding capability across different regions. This is game-changing for clinicians and healthcare organizations using Heidi. Medical coding, as we know, is critical for reimbursement, compliance, and analytics, but it's traditionally been time-consuming and error-prone. Heidi's AI-powered medical code generation suite delivers accurate medical coding automatically, without the extra overhead and manual efforts. Let me show you how this works in practice. When you do a session in Heidi, you'll see a button pop up on the bottom right of your note screen with the AI-generated codes. If you click on it, it'll open up our coding sidebar. As you can see, Heidi has generated medical codes based on the session you've had with your patient. From here, you can either accept, reject, or replace. Any of the codes that Heidi has generated. You can also add any additional codes for that visit using our Add New Code feature. Wondering why Heidi suggested a specific code? Simply click on the View Evidence button to find where in the transcript Heidi generates that code from. We're currently live with ICD-10 CM in the US and SNOMED in the UK. Furthermore, we're excited to soon launch ICD-10 UK for our clinicians in the United Kingdom and ICD-10 AM for our clinicians in Australia. Heidi's continuing to elevate the medical coding function, not only by introducing more coding systems across the US, UK, Australia, Canada, Europe, and more, but also by building out functionality in how these medical codes can integrate seamlessly with electronic medical records. Heidi's automated medical coding transforms your entire revenue cycle. You'll save hours every week by eliminating manual chart review and code lookup, all while streamlining your workflow from documentation to billing. Most importantly, You'll have consistent, compliant coding across your entire organization, whether that's one clinic or 50 sites. Thank you for watching.
Awesome. So getting lots of questions in the comments about different coding sets. I can see ICD-9, ICD-5, ICD-11 coming through. They're all on the list. So we're aware that they're a hotly requested feature, and we hope by showcasing you the ones that become available each month, you can see that we're working hard to bring all of those coding sets that you could want onto the feature, onto Heidi. We're going to, before we kind of jump back into questions, there are heaps of them, so please keep them coming. We're just going to spend a little bit of time on hidden gems, which I think might answer a few of them as well. So hidden gems are not necessarily new features. They're existing features that we just want to kind of highlight and showcase to make sure you're getting maximal impact from Heidi and really getting the full benefit of all of the amazing features that we have to offer. The first one that we're going to talk to is copying and pasting screenshots directly into the context tab. So there are a few questions in the chat already about kind of how you can get Heidi to review or use previous sessions notes to kind of inform your output in Heidi. So that really is where context comes into its own, and you're able to kind of catch Heidi up, drag and drop previous sessions results into Heidi, and it will refer to them as well as the transcript to make a note. So hopefully this will answer a few of those questions. Theo, I'll hand over to you and let you share your screen, and you can go through this one as a live demo.
Thanks, Ben. Let me just share screen option. Okay, that should be good. So yeah, like Ben mentioned, the context window is a great place to drop any previous information you might have that you want to be collated into the session output. So what I've got is an example of an EHR here. And all I'm going to do is, to show you how simple this is to screenshot the EHR. And then I'm going to come back to my Heidi screen. And I'm going to drag that file into the context window. Now, this upload modal has a few options. You can add some additional context if you want to tell Heidi what that information is that you just dropped into the context. You can also let it know if there's handwriting, checklists, or tables, but for this purpose, we're just going to save the file because it shouldn't need any of those. And once it's complete, you can feel free to close this. Now, you can go into a session as normal. You could start transcribing and do your note and your documents. However, just to keep this relatively quick, I'm going to summarize the information in the context into Ask Heidi instead. And we'll just give Heidi a few seconds to load. And as you can see, we've pulled the patient summary, Kylie Matulik, some of the demographic data, the past medical history, medications, vitals, and so on. And this is all just from the screenshot that you took and you dragged into context. So it's much easier than typing out this information over and over. And we've found that some users have really liked this. So yeah, drag files into context, simply screenshot relevant information from your EHR and just add it to Heidi, and Heidi will consolidate that information into your notes and your documents. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Theo. I think that that hopefully will be really, really useful if you've got trend graphs or lots of detailed investigations and things like that. So we hope that it will save you a whole heap of time, which we're really, really excited about. The next feature that we're going to be showcasing is the kind of status tags to your Heidi sessions. I'm not sure if my screen is sharing accurately, but I'm going to throw back over to you, Theo, to kind of talk through these status symbols. And if you could mention which tiers this one's going to be rolled out to. I know it's going to be limited to our enterprise or hospital users just to begin with, to assist in their collaboration with colleagues.
Thanks, Ben. Let me share again. Yeah, so we've now got these statuses at the top of the session header. You can see them here. You've got 4 options. You can either set your session to a draft, a reviewed, approved, or sent. And then you also have the option to clear the statuses as well. We did some research into this and we found that these were quite a nice set of statuses. However, we will be working on the ability to add custom statuses further down the line. So we're aware that we're most likely going to get requested for that. But what's really useful that you can do is move into your session sidebar. Let's open that up again. And you can now filter or sort by the statuses. So if I go into here and I go status, I can just filter for the ones that are in sent, or I can filter for the ones in reviewed as well. And you can also filter by date and patient profile. And then you get the same options for sorting as well. And although this seems quite minor, it's really powerful. You can now easily track your appointments and documentation progress on the busiest clinic days, and you can collaborate with your team more efficiently. And like Ben mentioned, this is an enterprise feature to begin with. We'll work on making this available to all the tiers, hopefully in the future.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Theo. And I'll get you to keep sharing your screen because we'll jump straight into questions. But really just wanted to flag that this was a pretty hotly requested feature for those of you who might be running a busy clinic and have maybe drafted a note at the end of a session when a patient leaves, but wanting to flag that the note is not complete, with a colleague before you kind of come back to it at a later stage throughout your day. So we hope that just adds that extra peace of mind and extra visibility to your colleagues who are potentially collaborating on or sharing or working closely with a patient that you are at, so that they know if your notes are sent or if it's still being drafted. Theo, got a couple of questions here in the comments just about where to find personalizations. So while you've got your screen up, it might just be great to kind of show everyone how to access Heidi Labs. And just before you do that, for those of you who can't see it now, you do need to have done a couple of sessions with personalizations turned on before you'll be able to see it. So I could see a few of you are a little bit alarmed that it's not there immediately, which is great. I'm glad you're looking for it. You will just need to complete a few sessions before it'll pop up. But Theo, where do we find Heidi Labs to turn personalizations on?
Yeah. So to find Heidi Labs to begin with, you want to go into your settings here, and then you want to go into Heidi Labs. And all you have to do is toggle this, and you can see that your settings have been updated. And that means that when we release features, you'll be the first group of users to access them. And then to find personalizations from there. And by the way, as soon as you click this toggle, it's not just going to update automatically, but it will take some time, and then eventually you'll see the personalizations. But if you come into a session, you can see that personalizations is down here. And you can see that this is some of the rules that this feature has learned about me. You can see this is the one I did for the demo. And yeah, you just click into each rule to see the evidence behind them. If you're not happy with the rules, like I mentioned in the demo, you can mark them as incorrect. And you can then come into the archive and you can restore it. Also, the toggle down here is what you need to do to get started. So if you click into the modal and you see this toggle turned off, it's worth just toggling it on. And if there's any sessions that you want to do every now and then without these personalization features, again, you could just come into the module, toggle it off, do your session, jump back in, toggle it on. And it's really that simple.
Awesome. Awesome. And have a couple more questions on personalization that we'll just kind of go through now. So, Rebecca's asked if it's going to learn or personalizations will work on a note or a document or both. So in terms of just to reassure everyone, personalizations will work on any document type. So whether you're generating a note or a document, personalizations will be on and learning from the different outputs that you want. So that's really great question. I've got another one. Actually, I've got a few talking about how templates and personalization interact. So I'll just kind of summarize them into one kind of one larger question. But does personalization directly edit templates, Theo? And which one wins out if you've got a conflicting template and a personalization rule? Which one wins?
Yeah, so we see templates as the structure that the notes and documents should follow. And then personalizations is this additive layer that just gets those outputs as close as possible to your preferences. And it's all those like minutia that's going to be very hard to put down into a template structure that personalizations is here to catch. And if it's very, very rare that there's an abrasive conflict that we actually have to choose between the personalizations or the template. Most of the time they work collaboratively to reach the outcome. However, we have designed personalizations to, I guess, to be the final deciding factor. So it does trump templates if there is like an absolute conflict. However, it's very rare that happens.
Awesome, awesome. And I've got a question from Ariella just asking if 5 to 10 sessions kind of are required before you'll start to see personalizations. I'm right in saying that you'll start to see those personalization rules take effect once Heidi's kind of recognized a pattern. Is that right, Theo? So you'll when we say 5 to 10 sessions, we're saying that's to kind of start to see those consistent changes come to life, but you will see them actioned a bit sooner as well, won't you?
Yeah, exactly. And it completely depends on the edits that you make. So if you go into a note and you heavily edit it, then Heidi's going to feel somewhat confident. And those edits are all kind of following the same pattern. Heidi will then feel somewhat confident that it should learn a rule. However, if you're just making minor tweaks here or there, it might actually be longer than five to 10 sessions. So it's all dependent on the edits that you make and like the pattern of those edits. But we find that 5 to 10 sessions is a good measure to inform our user base because that tends to be when we start to see these and when they start being applied.
Awesome, awesome. Got a question from Paul about if personalizations will be available on all tiers and all platforms like the desktop app and our mobile app. What can you tell us about that, Theo?
Yeah, so it's fully available across the tiers. The edit side of things at first will just be available on the web browser, but the rules that Heidi learns will then be able to be applied on the desktop and the mobile. Again, we're aware of this like disparity, and we're working to shrink that time. And personalizations will become available on the app and desktop, but just to begin with, it's going to be browser.
Yeah, awesome. And just to be clear, Paul, and for anyone else wondering, you'll still get those personalizations if you're using the desktop app. You'll just need to go to the web browser to edit and toggle them on and off or see them, as Theo mentioned. So hopefully that helps. And yeah, very excited to bring this to all of our users, and whether it be free, pro, or together, which is going to be awesome. Just going through, there's one question, or actually a couple of questions, just about how personalizations fit in with security and safety and keeping patient information safe. I'll try my best to answer it, Theo, but you can maybe tell me if I've missed anything. So what we've always tried to keep a really clear line that Heidi, the model itself, we don't train that model. It doesn't learn from any private patient information that's held within the consultation. Personalizations really is just the edits or the stylistic changes that you're making to the notes output, and it's confined specifically to your user profile. So we can't see the personalizations you make from our end, and we're not learning from them en masse. We're really just looking to refine the output that you're making, and looking at the frequent edits that you're making to try and reduce the frequency of those edits needed from a stylistic point of view. But there's no training of the model still or anything like that. Have I got that right, Theo, or is that have I missed anything?
Yeah, that's correct.
Awesome, awesome. Cool. I'm just going to scroll through now. There's a couple of questions now just on templates. So Kristen's just asked if the templates feature is going to be available as part of the free plan. Yes, to reassure you, both personalization and templates will be available to all users regardless of tiers. So we hope you enjoy that, and you'll get to use it regardless of what tier you're on. And just sorry, I'm just kind of scrolling through. There's a few. Lots of ones are still coming through. There was. I've just got a longer question from John that I'm just going to read out, Theo. So, will there be the option of generating multiple documents that that a document is only generated if relevant? For instance, as a GP, he's got many consults that don't require like an onward referral letter to secondary care. Can Heidi detect when that referral has been mentioned in the transcription, and then develop that pinned document, or is it just an all or nothing type? It'll generate those documents all at once.
Yeah, it's a great question because we do hear this a lot, and the answer is not at the moment. This pinned document is a building block to reach that goal. So once we've fully rolled this out, we'll start working on the next phase, which is there'll be an option for Heidi to automatically detect this, and like you mentioned, just to generate these documents. And B, the other option is to actually write these rules into Heidi, so that you can have like more control over those rules and that kind of like workflow. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Theo. And maybe one last question that we've got, or maybe two more, because I can see they're pretty linked. So, Ariane's asked, how do you ensure that the information from a note created from context is carried over in the completed note after the encounter? What I think might be helpful, Theo, is just kind of talking through context again, if you're happy to share your screen. But also just showing everyone how to regenerate a note. Say, for instance, if we've uploaded something to context after the patient's left the room, and how we can regenerate the note to kind of get all of that detail in it.
Yeah. So so I just double checking I'm not muted. Yep. So yeah, the context has a few options for it. The first is that you can either just type or you can dictate into it, and that's just for you to say information, obviously. The other option is to access the past sessions of the patient. So I'm just going to find an example where it repeats. I think Bobby repeats. So if I go into context, I'm going to see that there's Bobby's previous sessions, which I can include as context as well. The other option I showed you was the pulling in the files. So you can either go in here to open your file uploader modal, which can access PDF, PNGs, JPGs, docx, and doc, which for those non-technicals, it's basically just text files, PDF files, and image files. So those are the main three options. There is also then a patient-specific context option, which you can access by going into the patient profile. And here you can add additional patient context. And all this means that if you create another session and you add the same, and you link it to the same session patient, then Heidi's going to remember that context and apply that to the new note or the new document. However, if you're in a session Let's go back to this one. And you've already generated the note. What you want to do is come into, and let's say that your session's over, but you realize that there was context missed. You want to come into the context. You want to add the information here. So I'm just going to put dummy text. And then what you'll see is in the note section, there'll be this sync changes button. And all you have to do is click that. The note will regenerate. And it will now take in this new context that you've added. If for any reason this sync button doesn't appear, you can just click to regenerate, and that will achieve the same outcome.
Awesome. Thanks, Theo. And while you're talking through context, Kylie's asked again just about new sessions automatically linking to previous sessions. So if you could just quickly highlight again where you can tick through to include previous sessions into context automatically.
Yeah, so this is Kitwell's patient, and if I go into edit patient profile, I can add the patient context here. So let's say that Kit is 25 years old, type 1 diabetic, and smokes. But there you go, an example. And I'll click Save Changes. Now, if I go into a new session, I link it to Kitwell's, and I go into the patient context, it's still going to be visible. And now if I start transcribing and start a new session, generate my note, generate my document, it's going to use that patient context as information to infer the note and the document. Awesome.
And just to be clear as well, maybe including previous session notes into that as well, into that context, just on the bottom left there. You can tick that box and include up to 3 previous notes automatically just by using that little tick box feature. You can, of course, upload more notes, or if you've got multiple sessions that you need to include in addition to those 3, you can drag and drop those as files or free text as well. So hopefully that answers your question, Kylie. Last question, and we've got over 70 questions coming through. So I appreciate the engagement. I promise we'll get to them all via email. I've tried my best to pick the common ones, but the last one's just from Ashley about whether you can have Heidi Labs on and the beta notes feature off. So Theo, do you want to take that one, or do you want me to?
Yeah, sure. So to have the Heidi Labs on and the personalizations off, you can come into any session and click on the personalization here at the bottom for the modal, and you can just toggle it off. And then it's going to regenerate because it's going to remove the personalizations. But that's essentially how you have the labs on and the personalization off.
Yeah. At this stage, am I right in that the personalizations feature is the only feature currently in Heidi Labs? So we've made it nice and easy for you to just turn Heidi Labs on, and then in a couple of weeks, personalizations will be out in general release, and you can toggle labs off for newer features if you're not wanting to include them. So we hope that'll make it nice and clear. Got heaps more questions rolling through. So thank you again for everyone. We're going to leave it there, just conscious of time. I might share my screen again, Theo, once you're done. Thanks, mate. And we'll jump back into the last little section of the evening. So thanks again so much. It's awesome to have so many live questions, and we will get back to you. The team will respond via email to the rest of them. We wanted to take a minute just to flag that we're at lots of different conferences, depending on wherever you are in the world, over the next couple of months. So for those of you in the UK and Europe, we'll be at Digital Transformation Summit in Birmingham. We'll be at Southeast Coast Emergency Medicine in Brighton. We'll be at the HET London Best Practice Conference in Birmingham, and the Royal College of General Practitioners Conference in Wales. So if you're attending any of those conferences, please look out for the Heidi booth and come say hi. We'd love to talk to you in person. For those of you in the US and Canada, we'll be at the American College of Emergency Physicians in Salt Lake City. We'll be at Ontario MD Digital Health in Toronto. We'll be at Becker's in Chicago and Health in Las Vegas. So hope to see a few of you there. And for any of you up late in Australia, we'll be at the Australian Association of Psychologists Conference in Melbourne, as well as the Australian Association of Practice Management Conference in Melbourne. So please come and say g'day. We'd love to chat in person, and they're always great events. So we look forward to seeing you there. Wanted to wrap up by thanking you all for attending. We know you're very busy. We hope you've enjoyed the webinar. Please continue to send through your questions, and we really welcome any feedback you have for us. We do try and make action that feedback that we get, and want to say a big thank you for Theo for joining me this evening and getting up nice and early to talk to you all. So thanks, Theo.
Thanks, everyone. See you later.
See ya.